What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is it. Finally, my ultimate weapons tier list for the First Descendant is here. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while, but I kind of figured that I'd push it to the end of season 1, almost like a cap on the season, pretty much discussing which weapons we really liked in the season, which ones performed well, which ones were, meh, and which ones were just terrible. Now, of course, as new weapons get introduced in season 2, we will augment this list and add more things in. And of course, a lot of these weapons could also be potentially reworked in season 2, like we saw happening in season 1. So subject to change is what I'm trying to say. Now, two things before we actually get into the list. The first one being the most obvious one. My voice quality is not great at the moment. I'm currently fighting a life or death battle with the flu, and it sometimes feels like the flu is winning, but we're going to muscle up and push on through this. And then secondly, this is a tier list, and so therefore this usually makes people quite sensitive, especially if my choices are not the choices that you would have made. But in the end, it's my tier list, and it is what it is. Don't take it so personal. If you like using Blue Beetle, then you do you, boo. You keep doing that. Whatever you do in the privacy of your own home when nobody's watching is entirely up to you, and you can do whatever you want. But this is my tier list. Let's jump on in. So I'm going to try and do this list alphabetical, of course. And I want to quickly explain my criteria, because it's not just a good, bad kind of situation here. But we have in the top, we have must have. These are weapons that I consider that you should absolutely have in your arsenal, because it's not that they're just good for one specific thing, but they're in general all-round good weapons, or they are efficient on multiple descendants, meaning that it's never a case of like crafting it just for one particular thing. Next, we have fun but great, and we all know these guns in the game. They don't perform as well as the meta weapons, but they're super fun to use in very specific situations, like if you're mobbing or something like that, or if you're like trying to one-tap stuff or so on. But the bottom line is these are guns which are fun, but might not necessarily be the best thing for you to use, but the fun makes up for it. And in the third category, we have needs work, and these are weapons that I believe that once they have been through a balance pass or a change or something like that, that we saw with some of the weapons in season 1, that they can actually then either become fun or they can become meta. Not to say that meta can't be fun, it can be both of those things, but the idea being that these weapons can be raised up to be on almost a similar quality to the ones above them. In my fourth category, I have one trick pony. And pretty much what I mean with this is it's a weapon that fulfills one very specific thing in the game, and therefore you use it for that, and usually that's a specific descendant, and then the rest of the time this shit just lies in your inventory and you don't actually use it. And there are actually, unfortunately, a few of these weapons in the game. And then last but not least is yuck. Now, I want to be clear, yuck doesn't necessarily mean that the weapon doesn't deal damage, right? I don't expect to only put into this list weapons which, deal poor damage, but I also put weapons in this list that just don't feel nice, or kind of like feel like there's something else that just does it way better, or they feel cumbersome, or they make your character too slow, or they just don't really have a place in the meta right now. Now, this is the category where you might disagree with me a little bit, because the point is, I think that given the right circumstance, any weapon could possibly be found to be fun by someone, but it is what it is, and unfortunately we got to fill up these lines with something. So yeah, there's going to be some stuff in this line. Okay, so starting us off alphabetical, of course, the first one would be Afterglow Sword. Now, being one of the two snipers in the game, this one to me is the better of the two snipers based on its unique effect, of course, and everything. By the way, guys, the scope of this video would be way too big if I was going through each one of the unique effects of these weapons. So unfortunately, it does help a little bit if you have some rudimentary understanding of what each one of these weapons' unique effects does. I'll kind of refer to it as much as I can, but I'm sorry if some of this stuff seems confusing to you if you only know the weapons by name or by, their picture or something like that. So, Afterglow Sword is one of the two snipers in the game, your ultimate snipers in the game. In my opinion, the better of the two, as I said. It's fun when you use it with Sharon and you like one tap like dudes in outposts and stuff. Her sniper build also works with this quite well. And just in general, I oftentimes find myself running with this on my back, and then when I fight certain Void Intercept bosses, I switch to this when they're in like for example Executioner. I think it's Executioner, when he's got that fucking energy pylon on his back and he's in his invulnerability phase. Then you can oftentimes pull off some nice crisp shots on that thing, deal a bunch of damage, and actually knock them out of the invulnerability phase, which is kind of dope. So I definitely would classify this as a fun but not great. Unfortunately, and this is something that I think will become, you know, more understood as I go through all of the different categories, but there's definitely a situation in this game where certain types of weapons just aren't as efficient as other types, and that can be for very many reasons. Bullet economy, the way how you use them, the way how enemies attack you so you don't have time to zoom down sights, yada yada yada. There's many reasons for it, but the point is that this game does favor assault rifles, submachine guns, and LMGs. It's just one of those things. It just favors that more because it's an action shooter, and because of that, that the risk that you face from shooting a sniper rifle or something like that doesn't necessarily translate into more damage for that risk. The Afterglow sword does deal a boatload of damage though, especially played into a sniper class, so it's definitely good for that. And you know, as a sniper, it's a pretty cool weapon. So next we have Albion Cavalry Gun. Albion Cavalry Gun was one of the weapons which was redone in Season 1, and basically its mechanic was changed, and I actually like it a lot. Basically how it works right now is it's just like a stun machine. It just stuns a whole bunch of stuff, and it also makes you move faster as well. So it's a really fun weapon to use when you are just like mobbing through a bunch of enemies, because you can lock down entire parts of the battlefield and so on. But and then of course, while you're doing that, generally speaking, an LMG makes you go slower, but in this case, it's you know, other perk makes you actually move faster while you have it, which is really cool for canceling out shit like Hades 3 and stuff like that. So I really like it though. My issue with Albion Cavalry Gun is just the fact that its damage is just like so lackluster. But it's because we all love, of course, the other LMG, which we're going to be talking about just now, so much. And that's you know, it kind of like makes this one not feel that strong. But I do feel like Albion Cavalry Gun is right on the precipice of being great. Weirdly, and I don't want this to happen, but I'm just saying, like, if Enduring Legacy was to catch a fucking nerf, then Albion Cavalry Gun would shoot right up there, for example. But for now, it's fun and pretty much almost great for me. Okay, next we have Blue Beetle, and I kind of like already gave this away with my story at the start, but I fluctuate between thinking this gun is stupid, but then also thinking like, man, there's just a couple of things that they need to change on this shit and it'll be dope, right? It's kind of like the other side of the coin to the Secret Garden, and Secret Garden is a fucking great gun. Blue Beetle, not so much. So I think like I'm relatively certain, I'm willing to bet this fucking hat that's on my head that Blue Beetle is gonna catch a rework in Season 2, and it's probably gonna be fucking sexy. You know, let's go ahead and make a little side bet right here, right now. We'll come back to this point when the time is right, and we'll see if I was right. But I'm pretty sure this shit catches a rework in Season 2, and it becomes good. But for now, definitely it needs some work. Then, dude, I'm so glad we're getting all of the fucking weapons that I hate out of the way at the beginning, because then we get to all like the cool shit at the end that I can just talk nicely. But Clairvoyance is yuck, dude. I don't know what it is. Okay, first of all, I don't like beam rifles in this game, okay, and that's because of the bullet economy, and it's because of the range, and just in general they feel fucking terrible, right? This makes me sad though, because one of the new weapons that's coming in Season 2 is a beam rifle, and I'm already like fucking dreading it. So I hope it's cool and it kind of like takes me over to the dark side and I actually like beam weapons. But Clairvoyance is also, I mean, even if I was to put it high up in the list, I would put it to a one-trick pony, because Clairvoyance is really only really shines if you put it on Viesa or something like that. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. And if you offer me Clairvoyance next to most of the other guns in this list, I'm going to take the other gun, hands down. And it's nothing to do with like whether it's catalysted or not or something like that. Just beam rifles just feel fucking like sloppy in this game. Next we have Divine Punishment. This is an odd one, right? For me, Divine Punishment is, so the game has a slight problem with ultimate assault rifles in the way that none of them are exceptional, right? The best assault rifle in this game right now is a purple. That's a fact. Right, from a stats perspective, a control perspective, a feel perspective, everything. The only thing it's missing is an ultimate effect, right? A unique ability. But the best assault rifle in this game is unfortunately not on this list here. And Divine Punishment has a very specific niche where Eugen players use it, but I'm not aware of it having a room anywhere else to play. So that, first of all, that definitely puts it into a one-trick pony category, right? But then I also feel like it needs some work. But then again, even if some work is done, I kind of like feel like its niche is always like, the only thing, if they do some work to it, is they can just potentially make it even better for Eugen. But generally speaking, I mean, I'm going to put this in the one-trick pony category. I will also say that it could as well just be in the needs work category. But for now, since I literally only see Eugens running around with this, you know, it is what it is. Next, we have the best weapon in the game. Honest to God, this shit is like, I'm sorry, it is what it is. You can say what you want, but Enduring Legacy is consistently the best weapon that you could bring to a fucking Void Intercept boss fight. Now, it's not great at mobbing, okay? It isn't, but it is an LMG and it has a lot of fucking bullets in it, so you can mow down a lot of shit. But it is a bossing weapon. I will concede that point. But as a bossing weapon, I don't think many other things compare to it. I would say it's also the fact that pretty much every Descendant benefits from using this. It's very much the same thing as when we had the Tamer, and a lot of people were using the Tamer to complete very, very difficult encounters that the Tamer essentially carried for them. Enduring Legacy does this a lot. A subpar build on a Descendant can be saved by a good Enduring Legacy, and that to me is a great weapon. All right, next is Excava. Excava was the second season pass weapon that we got, right? And I think, look, from, again, this is an assault rifle, right? So we have a problem with ultimate assault rifles. This thing's like general power level and feel and everything like that is okay. And conceptually, I like the idea of the weapon, but the effect of the grenade and that and everything just needs to be heavily tweaked or changed, that it shoots multiple fucking grenades, or fuck a grenade that should shoot a missile, or I don't know, something. But the payoff, right, for this weapon is very weak. That's pretty much my point. So if they put some work into this, then this might be our first genuine ultimate assault rifle that is actually pretty decent. Because other than that, the gun feel is great. I like it. The clip is a little bit small, but this is another problem with assault rifles in general. It just feels like the clip's like about 10 to 15, like the magazine is about 10 to 15 bullets too little. But yeah, anyway, I digress. That's a completely different discussion. Next, we have Executioner. What? Executor. Not Executioner is the Void Intercept boss. Executor is the shotgun. So this is absolutely a one-trick pony, and specifically that pony is Glay. So this is, this was the meta for like a hot minute until we had some new mods that were brought into the game and stuff, which pretty much changed Glay back to like, I guess, Python, something like that. But Executor is shotgun. Glay was a thing, and I still see a bunch of people running around with this shit. And I mean, when it bangs good. But other Descendants really don't have any need to use shotguns. Shotguns are, again, from an ammo economy perspective, and also the fact that, like the ramp up and the additional damage and stuff like that only really benefits from an insanely high fire rate or having not to reload, in other words, affecting your sustainability. And there's not a lot of Descendants that have access to that. Pretty much Glay is your only way to go. So it's a one-trick pony. It's a good one-trick pony, but it's a one-trick pony. Next, we have Fallen Open. Dude, we're going through the fucking motions now because we were just talking about assault rifles that are disappointing, and wham, here we have another one. So on paper, this weapon is basically perfect for Freyna, or it's supposed to be perfect for Freyna. What it does is it gives almost, it gives her a spreading effect for her toxin and everything like that, additional to whatever she has in her normal kit, and it becomes more powerful when you shoot toxic stuff and everything like that, which again, on paper sounds fucking phenomenal, right? That's the shit that you want. But it's either the fact that its damage is really, really terrible just by default, small clip size, a small magazine size. I keep saying clip, it is what it is. And also the fact that, yeah, I do believe that there's some kind of like a interaction that happens between Freyna's normal skills, applying poison and everything like that, or toxic, and this, and that it actually is to your detriment to use this with her normal toolkit. It feels very weird, but it is what it is. It's funny though, we are getting another toxic Descendant now, so maybe this weapon is good, with the new Descendant. I don't know, we'll see. But I think for me, look, definitely I think there's a perfect category for this, and this is needs work. If they rework this and change it up a little bit, something like that, it's probably going to be really good. It'll probably be a nice mobbing weapon. I think that's kind of like its station in life, is a mobbing weapon that allows you to spread toxic very fast. And with the new Descendant, this could be a way for you to, because his one of his, I think, Transcendent mods is essentially around, no wait, no, that's his passive. Sorry guys, I'm going through it right now. His passive basically empowers him for more enemies that have this debuff that he puts on. And so, yeah, the debuff couldn't come from the gun either. I think I'm barking up the wrong fucking tree here. The thing is, I have a lot of hope for Fallen Hope. And it's just, so I'm trying to figure out how they can make this shit dope. But it's just, the point is, it just isn't right now. And so it's gonna, you know, it's gonna need some work. Next we have Frostwatcher. Now, Frostwatcher is, I don't know. It's a tough one for me, right? Because it's a weapon type that I really enjoyed right at the beginning of the game, right? I liked single shot rifles and stuff like that, and Frostwatcher is of that type, right? And so I really enjoyed that, because you had enemies who weren't very tough, and these things deal a fucking truckload of damage to like normal enemies and stuff like that, so it was good. But Frostwatcher itself is has a very niche, unique ability, and it really is only suitable for Haley. And then when you have it on Haley, I mean, maybe you could use it with Viesa, but when you have it on Haley, you realize that the weapon type is completely wrong. It should have been a submachine gun, it should have been an assault rifle, it should have been an LMG, or for fuck's sakes, if you want to embrace the whole like you know, damage into like canceling out the slow, all that stuff, and give him mobility. I mean, at the very least, make it a fucking sniper rifle then. Make it like a sniper rifle that's just hers, or whatever. Because it's obvious the identity here is this thing is like a companion piece to Haley, just like Fallen Hope is kind of like a companion piece to Freyna. But yeah, as it is right now, like Frostwatcher just, it feels shitty. Like, I don't like it's like the kind of gun like you don't want to be shooting down fucking sights, but you kind of have to, and the ammo management is fucking terrible. And yeah, I just have no fun with it. And I most recently tried to make it work on several different builds and everything like that, and I just did not enjoy a second of that. So that to me is like, I mean, it needs work, and also possibly it needs its weapon type changed or something like that. And so therefore I don't feel it's fair to put it in the needs work category, so it goes in the yuck. Then we have Greg's Reversed Fate. Now, Greg's Reversed Fate is definitely a must-have. It could also be a fun but not great. But the reason being that I think Greg's Reversed Fate, if used correctly, right, is very, very good in your arsenal. And the way that it can ramp damage on a Void Intercept boss must be respected. Now, the point is that unfortunately also ramps aggro, and this is oftentimes what you can see if somebody doesn't know this. They'll come in with this and like instantly fucking aggro the boss, especially if there's like 2 or 3 guys using this shit. So I mean, that is something that can be a little bit annoying, but this gun was good, and then they adjusted it and they made it really, really good. So from a damage perspective, there's nothing to hate here. I like the way the gun controls, everything like that. The damage per bullet is good, everything. I like it. I think it's a great gun. Is it the best gun in the game? No. Is it better than like the majority of the other weapons on this list? Yes. So definitely it belongs in this list up here. Next we have Peacemaker. This thing was absolutely not worth the fucking farm. Not even like a little bit. This is a weapon that you had to farm fucking gluttony for. Ugh. And I, being the completionist that I am, I of course made sure that I got 4 out of 4 of this as soon as I could. But it was a struggle, and then once I realized that this was a weapon that I was never going to use, it just made it worse. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that this gun can deal some serious damage, but for the same reasons that I don't like Frostwatcher, I don't like this. I feel like the type of weapon here is weird. I feel the handling of this weapon is fucking atrocious, and it's just not fun for me to use. It is well known that sometimes a lot of damage is fun, but not all the time. Like sometimes the gun can deal as much damage as it wants, but if it handles poorly or if it feels, you know, shitty, then it's just yuck. unfortunately, you know. Okay, then we have Kingsguard Lance. This was also a weapon that was reworked, and it was reworked in a very pleasant way. Those of you that are a fan of the channel, have been around for a while and everything like that, know that I have a really big love in my heart for tower defense games. Huge fan. And it's for that reason that it's such a fucking gut shot for me that Jaber sucks balls. And then secondly, when this gun originally came out and only having the one fucking pylon, I was like, man, this thing could be so cool if you could make like multiple pylons and this thing could basically be like tower defense in a gun. And then they did that. They did that. So unfortunately, it was also like nerfed. I mean, it was corrected. There was a mod that was like snapshotting fucking damage like way too fucking good, and that was changed. So it's not as stinky as it used to be, but this is the only weapon out of all of the weapons in this game that I made multiple videos on because I just enjoyed it that much. So it's absolutely a fun weapon, but it's not great. It's not great. Its damage is not phenomenal, especially now, and it requires a very specific way of using it, right? Because you're moving your turrets and, you know, bringing them up and all that stuff the whole time. So, you know, it's not for everybody. But I mean, when it bangs, and I crack a smile every time I see somebody breaking this shit out. I also remember the very first time I used this when it was still busted, and I used this in an infiltration, and guys were like fucking adding me as friends, going like, bro, where did you get that gun? And I'm like, dude, it's the Kingsguard Lance. You've had it all this time. Because most people crafted this and they were like, fucking no, and threw it into their stash. And yeah, these are like, holy shit, this thing is the bomb now. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking sweet. You should try it out. So I fondly remember running one infiltration where all of us were using this, and it was a fucking shit show in the best possible way. So yeah, Nazastras is a must-have. It's one of the most powerful debuffing sticks that we have in the game. I don't like the fact that the duration of the debuff is as short as it is. Honestly, in my mind, if they change that one thing about this, then this fucking gun becomes god tier. The fact that the debuff is like 3 seconds or whatever is just too short to be able to use it and to switch another weapon and use that weapon, right? So it becomes a case of like whoever's using this is stuck using this so they can constantly debuff the enemy so that your allies can partake in the fun. But this thing alongside something like debuff Sharon is fucking disgusting because it's like a massive decrease in defense to the enemy. So it's just really good. And like I said, if they would just make that 3 seconds, like, I don't know, man, 6 seconds, bro, just double that shit up, then yeah, we'd have a mess on our hands. Or so far we're going like pretty even here. I'm very impressed with myself, like, cause I thought it was gonna be heavily fucking slanted in the one side, but yeah. Next we have Perforator. Perforator is also one of the weapons which were reworked. Before its rework, I would have absolutely put it in as a one-trick pony, and that was because it was pretty much like a stat stick for Lepic. With the rework, it's kind of like Greg's Reversed Fate for vegans, you know, or like Diet Greg's Reversed Fate, something like that. And it's fun to use, but it has the limitations that that handguns have, and that's the fact that they, you know, once again, I mean, I keep using the term ammo economy, but it is a thing. And you know, just like not having a bunch of bullets in the magazine, so nobody likes to be reloading constantly. It becomes annoying. And yeah, it's other than that, I think its damage is really good. It's just a fun gun to use, and again, it has decent damage against, you know, bosses, but it's really fun as well in groups. I mean, I think whoever's playing with you, they don't enjoy it so much because they can't see what the fuck is going on the screen. But other than that, I mean, if I'm gonna be putting, like, you know, fucking Kingsguard Lance into fun but not great, then I gotta put Perforator in there. And it's definitely not like a one-trick pony anymore. I see people running around with this shit, so yeah, for sure. Then we have Piercing Light, and speaking of one-trick pony, this is our second sniper rifle on the list, and that is unfortunately a one-trick pony. This is a damage enabler for Haley. If you are wanting to use a sniper rifle on any other character, Afterglow is a better choice, in my opinion. Again, you might think different. But I think Piercing Light, because of its high base roll of damage, it's perfectly suited for Haley because that's what her Zenith skill wants. And other than that, I'd much rather run the Afterglow. In fact, a lot of the times people ask me and they're like, yo bro, like I have a fucking perfectly rolled, everything is great Afterglow, and I just got Haley and I fucking don't want to go through the shit of like doing piercing light, please Jesus tell me. And I'm like, dude, just use you know, just go for Afterglow, bro, it's okay. So yeah, unfortunately this is a one-trick pony. I don't know what they do. Like piercing light, I mean, its unique ability is kind of, you know, forgetful, like forgettable. Forgetful is probably, I don't know if it forgets itself, but it's like a little forgettable. Like, I mean, like, yeah, it's just, it's you don't use it for the ultimate ability, and that to me is the crux of this. A lot of the times when you use a ultimate weapon, the ultimate ability needs to do one of two things. It either needs to be the reason why you use it, because that effect is that fucking cool, or it needs to elevate the gun to such a high profile when it procs. If it's neither of those two things, then the weapon probably just sucks. Okay, then we have Python. So Python is an odd one because Python is like the counterpart to Thunder Cage, right? Thunder Cage is all about crits. Python is all about weak point damage. Python has a really fast firing rate, which is fucking good. Python is like the bomb on like Glay, but it has an issue with its magazine size, and it has, I mean, this is a personal thing though, but it has a weird fucking recoil, which I don't like, and it's obviously because of the high fire rate and everything like that. I think it's possible that Python gets a slight rework. As it stands right now, it's also a really good weapon with toxic characters. It's probably going to be really good with the new Descendant. But at the moment right now, I would say it's I like it. It's high fire rate, it fucking shreds, it's really good weak point damage, everything like that, but it's just not quite there yet at a must have. But it's probably going to go there. It's probably, I think in season 2 we'll see Python going to must have. Next we have Restored Relic. Restored Relic is one of the 2 launchers that we have in the game right now, and I'm going to make this super simple, and we'll do the same thing when we get to the other launcher. Launchers in this game feel shit because they don't deal nearly enough damage. You really struggle with ammo for them. Reloading them sucks, and this is very clearly seen because the only Descendant that likes to use launchers is Glay, and the only time that Glay likes to use launchers is when she doesn't have to reload them. So, and then even then, the best launcher for it to use is a fucking purple launcher. So I don't have a lot of love for the launchers in this game. I think they need a massive rework, and I think they need, if you're gonna work the ammo and the reloads like that, the shit needs to deal like a lot more damage than it deals right now. And other than that, I also think like they need to probably figure out some way to balance the sort of like the risk reward of using this, because you know, like in the case of a launcher, you're slower, and like I said, you have less ammo, you have to take more time to aim right, and because you know you want to make those shots count because they take fucking forever. So in that case, yeah, at the moment right now, both of these, and I'm just gonna do that, fuck it, I'm gonna skip Secret Garden and come back to it right now. But Sigvore's Proof, which was our first battle pass weapon, same bullshit. Both of these can, you know, suck it. They need to be reworked, they need to be made better. Launchers need to be, you know, something impressive, and this shit is like not impressive at all. Secret Garden, easy must have. It's good on several Descendants. It has really great crit damage and crit chance. Fire rate's good, magazine size is good. The only complaint I have about Secret Garden is the fucking skin. Like, this thing is ugly. And I would pay $10 for a skin that I could put on this thing, because I use it on so many of my fucking Descendants. I would pay $10 for a Secret Garden skin. That's my only complaint about Secret Garden. That's it. Rest of it, perfect weapon. Keep going. Okay, then we have Last Dagger. Dude, as I've been going through this list now, I was racking my brain because I'm like, fuck, man, I can't remember what Last Dagger does. It's something with like when you shoot all the bullets out, then the next bullets deal more damage, or it's fucking something stupid like that, but it's really like not a great effect, and it's a fucking shitty weapon. And I was just like, well, there you have it. It's like, again, this thing is, it's probably one of the weapons that gets reworked in season 2. I believe that. I could easily make like a list of weapons which would be reworked in season 2, and this one is one of them. Like if they reworked after Albion and Perforator and Wave of Light, then there's no fucking world where the Last Dagger doesn't get reworked. I'm willing to bet money on that shit. So for now, we'll put it into needs work. I like the weapon type though, because it allows the fastest movement with the character when you're carrying that shit, and that's fun to use with someone like Bunny or something like that. When we get to the final masterpiece, you'll understand what I mean with that, but I mean, you know, if you know the final masterpiece. So yeah, it needs some work, and that'll probably like make it fun but not great. It would be weird to have one of these in the must-have category. I'm fucking all for it. So I mean, surprise me, developers, let's go. Then we have Smithereens, another shotgun. Smithereens, I mean, it's not a one-trick pony. It's not yuck. I mean, it's almost yuck. But I mean, yeah, I believe there's room in the meta for a shotgun. Okay, and then this counts for Executor as well. There is room in the meta for a shotgun because some Descendants are all about that up-close shit and everything like that, and then capitalizing with the damage that you can get from a shotgun blast seems like, again, on paper, is a fucking great idea. It's just it doesn't translate through in the damage. Kind of like the same argument that I had about the launchers, is the risk reward is missing here. Like, you are fighting a gun with a limited clip size, that needs to be reloaded a lot, that has a very short fire distance, that has ammo management problems. So those shots need to be spectacular when they happen. It just needs to hit like a Mack fucking truck. Obviously balanced somehow, right? I'm not saying like make these things like one-tap shit. I'm just saying like the damage is weak, right? Wave of Light. I most recently did a build video on Wave of Light, and man, I wanted to like the gun a lot. I really did. And I believe that this, I mean, it's not fun right now, and it's not fun for two reasons. One, the timer that you have this window to deal damage is too short in my opinion. And then two, ammo is also a problem with this, right? I believe that, but this has already been adjusted once, so I don't know if this gets another pass before they get to some other weapons. But I believe that if they did, right? If they did do some work on this, I think Wave of Light could be meta. Because the home that I see for Wave of Light is that it becomes this like, when there's a damage window, a boss goes into, you know, like into like it's stun mode, you know, something like that, after you break a weak point or something like that, and you switch to this thing and you have like 5 seconds to just dump the entire mag, and those bullets just fucking shred. Like I feel like that's the home for this. It's not a mobbing weapon, but it's like, it's when the time is right, this thing absolutely decimates bosses. That's the home that I want for Wave of Light, and it's almost there. It's almost there. So whatever they need to do to make that happen, I think would be great. But for now, I would say it needs a little bit more time in the oven. Then we have our second last weapon, which is the Final Masterpiece. And I spoke about this just now as well. Final Masterpiece, I also did a build on. I really like it. I really like it. It's become the weapon that I most often use when I'm doing special operations, or if I'm running 400% infiltrations with Bunny or something like that, because you can just fire it off the hip. You get like some elemental effects, it procs, everything like that, and you're just quick on the move and everything like that. I like the fact that it makes your character feel super zippy and like, you know, very smooth and running around and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Is it great? No. There are better options there, and I mean, you won't be dealing as much damage with this as you can with some of the other weapons above it, and that's what kind of like blocks it from getting there. But it's a lot of fun, and that does count for something, for sure. And then our last weapon, of course, is Thunder Cage. Thunder Cage, coincidentally, is the first ultimate weapon that most Descendants will craft, and so it's kind of poetic that it's the last one that we discuss. As a submachine gun, it's a very, very good submachine gun. You can build it into crit, which means it can deal substantial damage to single targets, big targets, you know, void intercept bosses, but it's also exceptionally good at mobbing due to its ultimate effect. Now, I have seen some sentiment grow in the, you know, the player base, and it's funny to me because People love this shit when it came out, and now people get called dick riders if they say Thunder Cage is good. So, you know, this is the ebb and the flow of you know, the First Descendant. But whether you are gassing this weapon up or not, the point is Thunder Cage performs. It's exceptionally good at doing what it's supposed to do, and that's mobbing. And then the fact that you can also still use it as a fairly decent weapon to deal damage to void intercept bosses is just good. It feels great to handle. Again, the fact that it's a submachine gun means that you don't necessarily have ammo problems, and you can move around quite nicely with it as well because it's a light weapon. So yeah, it's just it's really good. And as a weapon that originally felt like it only had a home in Bunny's hands, the fact is that it's actually good no matter where you put it. And if you build this thing like, you know, just into the crit way or something like that, it's literally a submachine gun that works on every single one of your descendants, and you won't want to change that slot. So that absolutely makes it a must-have in my opinion. And I mean, the good news is you get this shit kind of like off the rip as you are leveling up, so you already have this if you didn't notice. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I can't wait to read the comments. Let me know what you guys think about my choices. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I read most of them, but it's always good to get the feedback. I really do appreciate it. And as always, fucking cheers.